Yisat sabachag, Chen. Ma kore?
Yisad Masai.
So good to see you. I love that. We just stuck 3 languages in one shot.
That's true.
We were saying good morning, and we are greeting each other.
Exactly.
And the reason why we've done that is because this is the whole essence of our show here. We want to connect different people that speak Hebrew, that speak Arabic, that speak English to come together and see our similarities and also to understand our differences instead of fight over our differences. So here we are, Chen. There you go. You start. How's it going?
Well, it's a bright new morning here. I don't know if you know, but in Israel today it's extremely hot. One of the hottest days in the last few years. And I saw a really funny tweet on Facebook with one of my friends. She's from Abu Ghosh, a village near Jerusalem, and she said in Arabic, she said that we have the Khalij weather, like the Emirati weather now, but where's the money? So
That's all it's missing.
that's all it's missing. So that's what's going on here. Um,
Well,
what about
I'm not missing out anything because it's really hot here in sunny Florida. So same here.
cool?
You're not any special.
I see. So yeah, how's it going, Mayan?
It's going well. It's going well. I'm really happy we're doing this episode today. I think we have so many important things to discuss, and it's never ending. And I think that I would like to really know and understand from you why it was so important for you to start our podcast, Abrahamic Voices, and what inspired you to do it.
Sure. I think the most important event that really pushed me to start such a project was the event that we met in. It was in February. It was in the UAE, and it was a tolerance event. It was held by the Ministry of Tolerance in the UAE, and it was really an amazing. It blew my mind. It took me a few weeks to calm down from what happened there. It looks like you agree with me.
I have so much to add on that. I'm just waiting for you.
Sure. So yeah, we were there, and I felt very inspired. I felt that I met amazing people, both Jews and Arabs and non-Arabs and non-Jews that were building bridges between civilizations. Yeah, I was thinking like, I want to bring the voices out there. And then I met you and we had this amazing discussion about the fact that we need to do this. Like you had the same idea.
Yeah.
So here we are.
I love that. That's great. I had a very similar experience that you had. Just mine started a little bit. I think it was around the time of October 7th, where I knew something had to be done. I just wasn't sure what. I haven't thought about it before. Everything was calm, here and there something was going on in Israel, but I never realized how extreme it was and what the problems really were because I wasn't focusing on that in my life. I was just busy building my business and running through life just like everybody else. After October 7th, I've always really been into the Arabic culture in general because I'm Arab, I'm Jew, from my origin. That's where my forefathers came from. So I was always very curious and interested in learning more about it. And I feel like I was never able to penetrate that world just because we're always taught that we can't or we shouldn't. And it's always something very foreign to us. So I wasn't sure on the direction, but I just started. Like I just said, okay, I'll go to this event. I'll go to that event. And that's how we bumped into each other because I just went to the event. I didn't even know what to expect. I'm like, I'm flying to Abu Dhabi. At that time, I was working with Loyal Sharif, and he was like, we're having this event. You're coming. I'm like, great. Sign me up. I didn't even know if there were going to be any Jews there. I didn't know what to expect. I'm just like, whatever it is, I'm going to go check it out. We'll see from there, right? I meet you there. I meet a bunch of people there, such cool people. But I think what fascinated me the most is that at first I was a little scared. I was in an Arab country, walking around. But then I felt the safety I felt was incredible. And then hearing all their leaders speak about tolerance and hearing all their leaders speak about respecting all the faiths and education, how important the education is to not put hate into, educational material. And hearing that was such a change for me. I was so fascinated. Then I realized, okay, there is already like a platform. Why don't we just build on that in our own way? We're not going to do it in Abu Dhabi. Maybe sometimes we'll go back to the events in Abu Dhabi, but we could do it on the internet because that is so useful today. And everybody's on the internet at least once a day, right? So here we have all this exposure. Let's take advantage of it. I'm so happy that we started this podcast. it really fulfills me, and I really feel like it brings me towards our goal here, and we have such a similar goal, and this has been something that we've both wanted to do for so long, and I think this is going to reach far.
Inshallah, I hope. Yeah, of course.
Inshallah.
Yeah, I just want to add that, I totally agree about the safety feeling. I mean, I, as an Israeli Jew, I've been abroad in the last 2 years to a bunch of places, and the place I felt most safe was the UAE, and I went in again twice in the last year just because I was so relieving. And it sounds like an oxymoron. It's so relieving being abroad in the UAE. For
Absolutely.
some Israelis, that might sound like crazy, but
Yeah,
that's the
for being a
reality.
Jew, you wanna
Yeah.
feel safe, and there aren't many safe places in the world, so I
No.
totally understand that feeling because 'cause I've had it too when I was there, shockingly.
Yeah. Like the most safe and the most respected. So yeah, the conference was great. I just want to say how I got to that conference was really by accident. I'm so happy for this accident. So I ran an NGO. We're a nonprofit that teaches Arabic and Hebrew to Jews and Arabs in the Middle East. And one of my students is an amazing rabbi, which I hope we're going to host him sometime soon. I don't want to spoil anything, but he sent me an invitation. Said, listen, you should come. And I just, it's spontaneous and just said, you know what, let's go. I mean, it was the first time for me in the UAE, which is funny because I speak fluent Arabic and you would expect someone like me to jump on in just when the Abraham Accords started. But I was busy building my own nonprofit and back in 2020, and then there was COVID, etc. So this was the first time I was actually there. And the people we met in the conference, first of all, the funny thing that I noticed is that half of them are people that either studied with me, like studied in Blender. I mean, half of the Israeli Jews were people that studied in Blender, and the other
Wow.
half were people that I felt really inspired to meet. Like I felt inspired to meet everybody, but it was people I never had the chance to meet. So it was really, really great. And of course, the locals from the UAE were so inspiring. I mean, wow.
I wow. Wow. Like, I feel the
Where did it
same thing,
start?
like, we're at a loss for words here because the truth is it was so mind-boggling, especially to people like us, and, you know, I didn't imagine in a million years that we would be sitting in a room with so many people that just a few years ago I would have been scared if I was passing by them on the street. Just totally just from ignorance, not
Mm-hmm.
from any
Of course.
substantial data. So I was just mind blown how so many different people were sitting and so being so respectful to each other and trying to understand each other. And I think that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to take that, implement it into
Mm-hmm.
this podcast so that people come on and in a shorter mini version of what we experienced in the UAE to do this all over the world with people all over that we can access on the internet, right?
Sure.
So I really like what we're doing here. And I want to ask you, I think we should share with our listeners what the vision and what the ideas are
Mm-hmm.
that we aim to express through this podcast. I think we should shed some light on that.
Of course. Yes, I think our vision is to bring moderate voices from across the
Yeah.
Abrahamic family. And I think that's why you call it Abrahamic Voices. We want to bring people together. We want to bring people from various cultures, Jewish, Christian, Muslim, everybody that's in the Middle East, Jews, Alawites. There's so much to explore and to know about each other. And I think that's our main goal. Add anything if you think I missed something important.
I mean, I could add on to it.
Sure.
What I like about this podcast, which is very different to other channels that I've listened to or that I've watched, a lot of people talk about politics, and
Mm-hmm.
that kind of makes some groups feel deterred and not really want to continue listening to what the people are saying because then it goes political and then you're taking sides and people get defensive by human nature, right?
Mm-hmm.
What I like about our podcast is that we're trying to leave politics out of it. We're trying to like speak about language, similarities and differences. We're trying to speak about food. Let's argue about hummus, you know? That's going to be a long conversation. We're trying to talk about history. When Jews lived in Arab countries, how was it back then? Let's not forget that.
Mm-hmm.
I come from three countries that you're not gonna really find Jews there today. Maybe one left, probably zero at this point. We're talking about Afghanistan, Iraq, and Yemen, which is the big deal
Mm-hmm.
these days. Yemen just had its last Jew die last year. So we're already talking about the Jews being expelled from these countries. So all we have is the new data that people are talking about. Oh, look, this is the culture that belongs to this, and this is what happens here. Is that there's so many similarities. If you go and you back to the times where these people were neighbors and they were knocking on each other's doors to, hey, do you have milk? Do you have extra eggs? Right? Like regular neighbors, we need to explore those times and we need to bring it to present day. And we also need to talk about how we can bring that to the future. So
Hmm.
I would like to hear from people from all across different faiths, whether it's Jews, Muslims, even Christians, whoever it is that could shed some light for us and how we can build a better future so that we don't pick up arms anymore. We put down our arms and we use our voices and our hearts to connect.
Amazing. Yeah, I think there's one more thing I would add to that is connecting the civilizations. I mean, today, because most Jews don't speak Arabic and most Arabs don't speak Hebrew, people just live in different echo chambers. Like echo chambers exist even in the same language, right? In English, you have
Mhm.
different echo chambers. In Hebrew, you have different echo chambers. But once there is the language barrier, you really are disconnected. So I
Right.
think we're trying to bridge that these two civilizations that have so much in common, uh,
Yes.
and so much to build together and shared history, just like you mentioned. So there's no reason not to there's no reason not to pursue in that. Um,
Absolutely. And I think it's really important that you have a school that teaches Arabic. And I think that people should connect with that more. I think it would be very helpful for the future of civilizations to connect.
of course.
I think that a lot of times, like my grandparents, they spoke Arabic, but I hear from a lot of people, I'm like, hey, so why didn't you learn Arabic if your parents spoke Arabic? They're like, that was their secret language to speak behind our backs. And I hear that so often. And I'm like, Chaval. Chaval means like, that sucks. Like, that shouldn't have happened, right? Like, they should have taught you the language so that you can understand and you can speak to people and connect with them in their hearts and in their minds and not just use misinformation and misunderstandings to go around and base thoughts and emotions on that.
Of course. Yeah, that's it's the same thing with like my parents, my mother and father are Ashkenazi, and they spoke. So my mother and grandmother used to speak Yiddish, so I don't understand. Now you know Yiddish and I know Arabic. It's so funny. We switch sides in some ways. Maybe you should tell a little bit about your Yiddish, but yeah, that's what happened. And then like you don't study it, and you miss out so much of your culture. Um,
Right.
so I started learning Yiddish, but I know just a little bit, really, just a few words. So, and I know the words that kept coming back in their conversations. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's not an easy language.
No, it's German. A lot of people are, when I speak to Arabs about this, they are surprised that Yiddish is actually German. They don't understand that Yiddish is German Judaic or like Judeo-German or something of that sort. They
Yeah.
think it's like a sacred language or something. And I'm like, no, it's like
Nope.
every day just to speak so the other people don't understand what you want to, like
Right.
your stuff.
Just a dialect of German. That's all it is.
So Maya, why
Yeah.
don't you tell us a little bit about your Yiddish background and how you got into becoming
Okay.
fluent in Yiddish?
Absolutely. It's a funny story because I was in college and I just needed a side job. I found a job in real estate, nothing too fancy at the time, but as I got into it and as I started working with Hasidic people, I started seeing more of the opportunity to grow. And at that point, I realized if I really wanted to grow in the industry to accomplish my goal and the vision that I had, the vision that I actually did accomplish today, when I look back, I accomplished far beyond the vision that I've had. But in terms of the vision I had at that time, I literally hit the target by doing one thing, by learning their language and getting close to them because they're a very insular community. And as a woman, that's not religious, that's not part of their community, that's Sephardic, all taboos in their in their world in some sort of way, it just doesn't go. Like you just don't see that happening where somebody meshes in like that with the most I'm talking to you about Satmar. So it's like
Oh yeah.
the most, the deepest part of the Hasidic community that you can get into, like the ultra ultra. So I was like, how do I penetrate this? They're sitting there talking Yiddish at the meetings, and I'm like, yeah, no. I'm like, I have to learn this language
Of
if I want to
course.
build a multi-million-dollar business. Like, I just know if I do that, I will be able to connect to their hearts and their minds, and I would be able to communicate with them on their level, and I will make them feel something called comfortable, which is what you want
Exactly.
people to feel. Otherwise, you seem like a foreign.
Don't trust
You'll
you.
never. It's like meeting. It's like called that's the
Affectionate
Hebrew
words.
word,
Yeah.
affectionate words, and automatically you soften someone right away. They're like, oh, okay, this person is not a, they're not a terrible person. They're not gonna kill me. They're
Mm.
saying good morning, right? Now you understand each other. It's a little different. So that's where my story with Yiddish comes into effect.
Tahiyyat wa mujamala. Things that you say in conversations that are extremely important, and they signal that you're cultured in some sense and that you have good manners and you're a trustworthy person. So what I try to do is teach not just how people, what's the name of the vegetables or I don't know, other things, fruits, but also the do's and don'ts.
The greetings.
Yeah, exactly. But also like how to behave and what not to say. What's not, it's not something you should say if you want to build trust. What's not things you don't want to do. Every culture has its own rules, and you want to be fluent not just in language but in culture. We have this German blender that we say we're teaching you also to become culturally fluent. And what
Yeah,
does that
nice.
mean? Is a big like it's a big thing. Maybe we should have a talk about this one day. What does it mean
Yeah.
to be culturally fluent in somebody's culture? And yeah, so maybe you have some
So
stories
tell
about
us.
that with the Hasidic community, or do you want to hear something? Go ahead.
Well, first of all, let me practice that word that you said in Arabic. What were
Sure.
you saying?
So actually, the word tahiyya, um,
Tahiyya,
tahiyya
to
sounds a
live,
little bit like tchiyah or like chai in
right?
Hebrew. Chai means live or alive, but it also means something like God bless. What do I mean? Do you know like Am Yisrael Chai
Mm-hmm.
or like Yechi Melech?
Right.
So it's not just like let the king live, but if you go back to the roots of this root, it's like praise the king or
Mm,
praise Am Yisrael, right? Am Yisrael Chai. So that word in Arabic, tahiyya, means like praising. So that's tahiyya.
okay.
And mujamala, like
Mujamala.
mujamale means something that makes the conversation more pretty. From the word
Mm,
jamil. I don't know if you know jamil. Jamil means like beauty or something that's beautiful. So
mm-hmm.
mujamala is something that makes things tahiyat wa mujamalat.
And blessings are barakatu.
Barakat is another word for like blessings. Yeah. Barakato is his blessings, God's blessings.
See, my lessons are getting somewhere.
Yeah, of course. Great.
I love that. That was beautiful. Thank you for
Sure.
sharing that.
Okay. Sure. We're going
Uh,
to teach where I think the listeners should know that they're going to learn a lot of Arabic and Hebrew in this podcast. So,
yes, yes. I think that is important for those that are
um,
interested. We'd obviously love to hear from you guys as well. So feel free to comment and let us know if you want us to throw in more words, if you want to hear more Hebrew, more Arabic, a mix of both. Please let us know your thoughts at all times.
sure.
I would say in Yiddish, yeah, actually, I had to learn a lot of slang because you don't want to sound,
Foreign.
no, you don't want to sound like the old people.
Mm.
That's what they told me because I was at first when I started studying it, I actually took out a book like an old-fashioned person and I started studying something called Ungarische Yiddish, which is like
Mm-hmm.
old school, like Sfarut, like formal Yiddish.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with that is I was saying things that even they were looking at me like, "What'd you just say?" And they're like, "Wow, I haven't heard that word since I was a kid that my great-grandfather told me," right? And then I realized, okay, this is the wrong way to do it. So I would sit there instead and write down everything they say. And I realized there are a lot of like repeating words and they don't use the common words that people think like gewaldig and nobody uses those words. There's like a whole book of slangs that's separate from the actual language. And that's what I speak today. And you always have to keep
Of
updating.
course.
There are trends in Yiddish too.
Of
You have
course.
to keep yourself updated with the trends. And you also stick a lot of English words. You have to know which ones. It's a very interesting language. Let's just say it's been a very wild journey for me. And my family till today doesn't understand me, understand why, why I learned it. They find it cool. They find it funny, but it's been an interesting journey. But absolutely, you have to know what goes. You have to know the trends. You have to know what's polite, what's not polite. And also, you don't want to sound like you studied it too formally. You want to sound
Exactly.
friendly. You want to sound personable, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I do like that you asked me that to share that part as well. It made me
Do you
think
feel,
about it for a second.
sorry, did you feel that you build like another personality, like a dialect of your own Mayan, when you speak a different language? Do you know what I mean? Do you understand my question?
Yes, I actually do feel that way sometimes. I feel like a different person because the people that know me don't know me like that. And then they look at me funny. I'm talking about people that know me for years, even my
Mm-hmm.
own brother, let's say. Like I'll start talking in Yiddish and they'll
Oh,
like
that's like a
give that
different
look
person.
like, yeah, like it's a whole different person suddenly. And then I feel like a character suddenly, like for a second. I love it. Like for me, it's like it's something I'm proud of. Learning a whole new language. It's really hard and it was for good reasons. It was to build my business, which I felt like was a bonus there. And it's so useful till today, and I really enjoy it, and, like, I'll talk with people that I could speak to them in English, but I choose to speak to them in Yiddish just to keep practicing it because you always have to practice a
Of
language,
course.
otherwise you start losing it, it starts to slip. I love it. I love the character that I become when I speak it. I start feeling like this weird, odd person because you would never believe if you were Hasidic or when I speak to Hasidic people, they don't believe me when I say I'm not originally Hasidic because I
Mm-hmm.
have a really good accent too. I really worked on that accent that people that know me till today tell me that sometimes when I speak Yiddish on the phone and then I revert back to English, I still have a bit of the Yiddish accent left over for a little bit, for like a day or two.
Amazing. I think that's extremely important when studying a language, not to be afraid to build another personality. Because it's not
Yeah.
just words. You're not like ChatGPT that's switching codes or something. You're really
Yeah.
trying to become something else because you want to blend into another community. And it just
Right.
like a little bit, it's a little bit like switching schools, like high schools, or if you move to a different town and you have a chance to build a new character. I think that's the
Right.
same thing with any language. It's actually even it's forcing you because your mouth moves differently. I mean, maybe you feel it also with your body language. Is it different when you switch from
Absolutely.
language?
I feel like such a character. Even I'm like, "Oh, who's that? Like, who's this person?" That's it's so weird. It's so foreign to them. Sometimes I'll talk to somebody new in their community and they'll ask me, "What's your name?" Now, my name is Mayan. They've never heard that name before. If it's not a biblical name, they haven't heard it. So, my name is just regular modern Israeli, just it
Mm-hmm.
just means like a wellspring of water in Hebrew.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know those names. They know, like, the biblical names, like Sarah, Rachel, Leah, all those names that are,
Mm-hmm.
has to be something important. It can't be a waterfall. So when I tell them my name is Mayan, they ask me something, "Was ist dein echte Nomen?" It means, "What is your real name, not your business name?"
Mm.
They think like so I'm like, "No, that's my real name." And I've
And
had people that were felt very weird about it and they thought I was like joking when I was, trying to build a client relationship. They had me show them my ID
wow.
to prove. Yeah, they thought I was like an ex-Hesed, which is like someone that left the
Of course.
community.
And that's not
And
a good.
right. And they thought I was pretending to be somebody else and not wanting to say where I come from so that they don't maybe know my family or they have like
Mm-hmm.
all these fears. And I'm like, no, I'm not from anywhere. And my father, you definitely don't know him. I could promise you that. And my mom, you definitely don't know. They're Sephardic. You probably would run away from them if you saw them on the street. It's like they're not part of your community. And they really just don't believe me. They're like, your accent is so spot on. And they even tell me your accent's like a Williamsburg accent, which is specific to a
Mm-hmm.
location too, which is where I learned it from those people. So I really got that accent down pat. So yeah, I really do feel like a character sometimes.
So cool. You know, this happened to me in like a lot of Arabs think my accent is Lebanese. I studied in like with a northern Israeli Arab from Nazareth. I talked with her like the most when I started learning, and I'm sure I'm Lebanese or like half Lebanese or something of that sort. It's so funny. Um, I don't know if I shared this, but on online, but on October 7th, I was in Jordan with my wife and two
Wow.
friends, like another couple. And a day before, like I wasn't, running around with my flag and just saying that I'm Israeli, but I got people's attention because they thought I'm this Palestinian who married an Israeli Jew.
Really? Because you spoke to them in Arabic.
Yeah, because it felt normal, but they noticed that my wife isn't speaking Arabic, so that was like this thing, and it's an issue. Like it's not something you would see in that. It's not something that they see every day. Okay,
Right.
even though they deal with tourists, they don't. It's not something they they see. I didn't like approve or disapprove their thought. I just didn't go into it. Um, but then October 7th happened in the morning, and I was like, oh my God, we have to get out of here very, very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had this driver, which was, I think I owe him our lives. He's an amazing guy that we knew from a few days before. And this was our last day, so we had to leave in any case, and he just came on time.
Wow.
So,
That's
and also
incredible.
Arabic was the way that I could really, really become friends with and understand that I could trust him.
Right.
Even from before, like even before the war started, you're in an Arab country, which isn't the UAE,
Yep.
and there's all kinds of populations in Jordan, and you have to be a little bit cautious. So
Right.
I made sure I understand who is this guy that I'm talking with. And the relationship was really, really good, and we're still in touch until today.
That's
And
incredible.
yeah, I teach him Hebrew. Most of his customers are Israelis, and his dream is to speak Hebrew. So he had a few hours with me in the car. I taught him a few stuff.
Wow, what a
Yeah.
crazy story.
Yep.
That's absolutely incredible. And that just shows you that imagine you didn't speak his language and you have no idea what he's saying and you're freaking out and you don't know if you're going to get home safe. What a crazy difference, right?
Mm-hmm. The cultural fluency. I mean,
Absolutely.
I could have chosen, if I didn't feel safe, I could have chosen a different driver. Exactly.
Yeah. So let's also share with our listeners what type of people, what type of stories or partnerships do we want to highlight besides just like our vision and our ideas? Like, what kind of people would we bring on this show?
Yeah, so I think we want to bring people that work on connections and connecting people. And I think we want to bring knowledge, like giving tools to our listeners who are maybe interested in this world. What are the nice, or like, what are the communities you can join? What are the thinkers you should listen to? What things do you need to study if you want to become fluent, both linguistically and culturally in Arabic or Hebrew? I think that's our goal. Maybe talk about interesting events that people can join if they um, want to become part of this community that's growing of Jews and Arabs throughout the Middle East who connect.
Wow. Yes, absolutely.
What are
I
your
think
thoughts?
that, anybody, first of all, I want to welcome anybody to the show,
Sure.
right? I want to welcome, like the listeners, obviously. I want to welcome anybody that wants to listen. My target audience, I would say, would be anybody that's pro Israel, anyone that's not pro Israel, anybody that's pro Arabs, not pro Arabs. It's not a certain type of person that should come and listen to this. I think this is meant as an open platform that's not judgmental, that's more information giving rather than trying to convince someone to join a site or to join anything specific or to lean onto any type of way, right? And the type of people we would bring on the show would be people that would highlight that. So we talk about culture, language, food, similarities, differences, and we're always open to hearing what people want to share about that. We hope that this will open up people's minds to realizing that we have more similarities than we have differences. And even with our differences, we can have a good relationship. So, for those people that are watching this, whether you have negative feelings or positive feelings, you are welcome here and you are welcome to share with us what your thoughts are. And we do welcome it. So, we are not looking for hate, we're not looking for any hate speech that's more ignorant, I would say. Like, that's how I view hate speech as people that don't really have enough information and they just have a hateful heart and they don't really understand what's going on. So we do welcome knowledge and we welcome information. And we'd love to hear more from anybody that wants to share about that.
I totally agree with you. And I want to add a Quranic phrase that I think is really relevant here.
Yes.
It's Bismillah, قبائل وشعوبا لتعارفوا, which means like God is saying to the people. I can't really translate this stuff 100% because it's holy words, but I'll just say the idea. So it says that yes, we created you man and woman, and we made you like different tribes and peoples, so you get to know each other. I
Wow.
think it's really powerful. In Blender, it's like on our roll-ups, it's a sentence down there that we always bring, which I think is very, very strong and
That
true.
kind of sounds like "V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha," which is in the Torah.
Right.
So I
There's a
find
lot of
that to be
similarities.
interesting. Yeah. You see, just between you, you and I were sitting here and already finding some common grounds. And I'm sure there are a lot of people that would be listening to this podcast and say, "Hey, I didn't know that."
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't have to be this specific a thought, but it could be a different thought that they say, "Hey, I didn't really know that. I didn't really think like that. And why am I hating? And why do I have negative thoughts? Let me look into it." And I think as this podcast progresses, I think we're going to learn a lot. I think the people that are watching will learn a lot. And I really hope this does spread really far. I
Allah.
think it's so
Zat
important.
Hashem.
Inshallah. Absolutely. As we come to the end of our podcast now, we'd like to do something special for our listeners. We'd like to teach a word of Arabic and Hebrew to show the similarities between them and hopefully to give you some knowledge about the two languages. And this is important because Chen has a school, an Arabic teaching school, but at the same time, he also teaches Hebrew to Arabs that want to learn. So this is important for everybody listening here. So the word of the day, and I will defer to Chen. Go ahead.
So the word of the day. I think we talked a little bit about God, and I think it's really it's the right thing to start. The first word should be about God. God in Arabic is the most known word is Allah. And the most known word in Hebrew would be either Elohim, or Hashem. So people that don't know, Hashem means like the name because we're not supposed to say the name. But the word Elohim is actually very similar to another name of God, which is Allahum. And it's a
Mm.
lot of times being said in the Quran. It's like the plural of God, but it's the same one God. It's just like another way to refer to him, to it. So Allahum and Elohim is so similar, and I thought that's interesting. Yeah, so
That is beautiful.
let's
I
hope
really
that
like
God
that.
shows us the way, will show us the way in this podcast, and will help us succeed in connecting his children.
Amen. And we hope our listeners really enjoyed this podcast, and we will see you next time.
Bye for now. Masalami.
Bye.